Gorgeous ones, Dr. Lucy here from Real Life Medicine, 8:04 I think this morning. How are you all? Beautiful. Actually, I'm looking out the window, bit of a dull morning in Melbourne. I'm on my way to work soon, so I'll get cracking, but we're talking comfort eating this week, or emotional eating, or as we often like to call it, just non-hungry eating. So why is non-hungry eating important? Well, the first thing is that our bodies are finely tuned machines. They have hormones that drive our signals for hunger and satiety. Satiety is our fancy word for fullness. So hunger is a hormonal process, satiety is a hormonal process, and it's completely organized, if you like, so that our body has the fuel requirements that it needs to function. When we override that signaling and eat when we're not hungry, then we don't need the fuel. So where's it going to go? It's going to get stored. And this is part of the problem. We have a storage problem. We are overstoring fuel. And then because of the whole insulin thing, which I know that most of you know about now, you can't get that fuel back easily. It's just stored permanently, which is why it's harder to lose weight when you're insulin resistant. Now, like yesterday we talked about your identity as a comfort eater, and people will use the term I'm a comfort eater, I'm an emotional eater, I'm a chocoholic. My old word was I'm a lolitarian. So really important to just listen to that language and start to separate comfort eating away from your identity. It is merely a tool. It's a tool that, and this is what today's talk is on, it's a tool that you've been taught. So we have been taught to comfort eat. And the reason for that is, and when you think about it, it starts from when we're babies. When we're babies, food or feeding or milk, whether it's breast or bottle, is a beautifully nurturing, comforting experience. And it makes sense for that. Remember, everything we do is often related to our evolution. So evolutionarily, there needed to be some comfort in eating. So from a baby, you're wrapped, you're swaddled, it's all warm, it's all nurturing. It's all about getting the bond for the baby and the mother so that, human species survives. So you can imagine you're a brand new baby. Maybe you can't imagine. You're a brand new baby, you've got no thoughts in your brain at all, and then 8 or 10 times a day, you are fed with this beautifully nurturing, warm, comforting experience. So you can see that association starts very early. So then we go, right, that would be okay. But then as humans, we kind of just build on that. So if you think about it, think about all the times that food has been used as a reward or to mitigate pain in your whole life. So as an example, we all know, the toddler falls over and he or she, scrape on the knee, comes in crying. Somebody will pick up the toddler, put them on the bench. Oh, darling, this is terrible, and put a Band-Aid on. What a brave boy you are, or what a brave girl you are. Here's a biscuit. Off you go now. And so, the idea that pain is associated with food becomes established. Doctors, we were the worst. Everyone knows, you go to the doctor, injection equals jelly bean, lollipop. Fortunately, we're moving now into stickers, but, for many, many years, that was the system. If you had pain, you got something to mitigate it, which was usually a sugar. And then think about, movies and rom-coms. I mean, I know I could write a rom-com. It's pretty easy. There's a formula. Boy meets girl. They fall in love. Boy has some existential crisis and runs away. Girl's depressed and crying. All her friends come around with ice cream or sometimes wine. And they all sit around watching movies, crying and eating ice cream. It's really unhelpful. What would be way more helpful is girls' friends come round and take her off for a big hike in the forest. But I'm also going to let you in on a little secret, and that is that there are food companies paying a lot of money to have their products written into scripts, so that it's really social engineering by stealth. There's no forest paying or no beach paying to have their scene written into a script. But, you know, Ben and Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs or any of those sort of well-known ice cream companies, because you think about it, you know, the little tub of ice cream, that's new. In Australia, we never had that. We had Peter's, the giant, blocks. Nobody was sitting with a big tub of ice cream, but now that they're in these little ones, everyone's eating those. Again, social engineering, just be mindful of it. So what I'm wanting to say is that if you have used comfort eating for a tool, and God knows I did for many years, it's not actually your fault. You've been taught it, it's conditioned, it's part of our society. Now, one of our favourite sayings here is that it may not be your fault. In fact, a lot of the things that we've had are not our fault. Our food pyramid and the advice we were giving is not our fault. However, once we know about it, it is now our responsibility to deal with it, to address it. So learning to undo some of those tools that we use food for is really important. And particularly, and you're going to hear me over the rest of this week talking about language, the language around food. And today, the first thing I would like you to separate food and treat. Okay? We put them together. And then what our poor brain's trying to do is it thinks, well, I have had a bad day. I do deserve a treat. Or I've worked really hard. I do deserve a reward. And so when we've meshed food and treat or food and reward together, that's what it's going to go to. So take that out. Treat. I think of a treat now. A treat is what we use to train a dog. And the reason is that because we can't actually communicate on our sort of language with dogs. So we use food. Humans, we're a tiny bit smarter than dogs. We don't need food. We don't need food for a treat. We don't need food for a reward. Harsh but true. Firm but fair. When you separate that out, it makes the whole thing so much easier. It takes a little while, but it makes it easier. I'm going to leave you with that. Now, I'm also letting you know that as of next week, we're going to be doing these lives just in our group. So you know that we've got the low carb real food group. And we initially were doing it on our page because we hardly had anybody in the group. What was the point of talking to nobody? But our group is growing, yay. So from next week, all of our live stuff, any kind of coaching, my cooking show, anything that we do is going to be housed within that group. Because we want to reward, I guess, people for actually following us, people for taking the time to join our group. And we want to nurture that as a community as well, which is a bit hard to do on this page. So come over to the group. It's obviously free. But we just want to make sure that it's a really warm, welcoming place for low carb, real food and a good dose of understanding emotional eating. Have a wonderful day, my loves. You don't need a treat. You're not a dog. Goodbye, darlings.